Hi, everyone. My name's Katie Laughinghouse. I'm a volunteer program coordinator for Nashville Design Week 2021. On behalf of the Nashville Design Week team, I'd like to welcome you to Into the Metaverse, the digital transformation of art and fashion. The host for today's program is Kamilah Sanders with Greater Than Equal, an international whole person vision-based leadership consulting and marketing strategy agency. We thank you for being a part of the Nashville Design Week 2020. And with that, I'll turn it over to our host, Kamilah.
Hey everyone, Kamilah Sanders, and are you going to play the video, Katie? Too?
No, I'm having trouble with it right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I'll just introduce myself. So, like Katie said, my name is Kamilah Sanders. I'm founder and CEO of Greater Than Equal. And Greater Than Equal is basically an organization where we provide resources for artists, for also sustainable fashion, people in that space. And then we also do a lot of work around social impact founders and doing marketing and leadership consulting for social impact founders. And we do events and we bring together people that have different perspectives that you wouldn't normally hear, but that have great perspectives on different topics that will help to move the industry forward. And so with that, I'm going to turn off my camera and give it back to Katie that's going to play the Nashville Design Week video.
Nashville Design Week is a platform for bold collaborations and conversations that promote idea sharing, engage and educate the public, and strengthen our city's design culture. We shine a spotlight on designers who are shaping the city's future and facilitates critical conversation about the industry's growth and impact.
This year's concept addresses the idea of transition, the middle ground between a trying year and reinvigoration. We are proud to introduce a diverse range of speakers and events to explore this contemplative pause, inviting attendees to imagine what will come next and how we'll design it together.
We're fortunate to partner with design leaders who are invested in the future of Nashville's design community. These leaders see Nashville Design Week as essential and support making design discourse accessible to all. Thank you endlessly to our 2021 sponsors for helping us bring Nashville Design Week to life. Thank you to gold sponsor Design Light and Acuity Brands. Design Light is Middle Tennessee's premier lighting representative for Acuity Brands and over 100 other manufacturers, working together to keep the design and construction communities current on the latest lighting technologies and trends. Thank you to gold sponsor Watkins College of Art and O'Moore College of Architecture and Design at Belmont University. The Watkins College of Art and the O'Moore College of Architecture and Design at Belmont University offer trailblazing programs to carefully develop artists, architects, and designers to create a better world. Thank you to silver sponsor Gresham Smith. Composed of diligent designers, insightful planners, and seasoned collaborators, Gresham Smith specializes in solutions for life's most essential infrastructure and institutions. Thank you to founding silver sponsor Hastings. Hastings is a boutique architecture and interior design firm comprised of 85 professionals located in the heart of downtown Nashville. Thank you to our copper sponsors, Aberdeen Studio, Alfred Williams & Company, Earl Swinson Associates, Interface, Lithographics, Textures Nashville, and Smith G Studio. Thank you to our bronze sponsors, Circa Creative Studios, Dryden Architecture and Design, EOA Architects, Manuel Zeitlin Architects, Pfeffer Sherrod, and Mesa.
And thank you to our media partners, Lightning 100, Nashville Interiors, Hi-Fi Media, and to our public relations partner, Allison Duke, as well as our creative directors, Lindsay and Alan Lassiter.
Nashville Design Week is a nonprofit organization and an entirely volunteer effort made possible by the tireless dedication of our team. Now, let's get started.
All right, so if everyone could come back on camera, we have a number of panelists here for you. Hello, Nova. Can you see see my camera? You're on mute. You're on mute, Nova.
Oh, there I am. I said I could see your square, but not your face. Can you hear me
Okay,
now?
I apologize, everyone. We're having some technical difficulties. And is anyone out? Opé, are you able to get on camera? And Nova, you say you can't see my, oh, here we go. Here we go. It's just taking a minute. Perfect. And you said you can't see me?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm just a black square right now for some reason, and that's okay. So everyone, I already introduced myself. I'm going to hand it over to Opé, who is the co-moderator for this session, and I'm actually really excited to have her as a co-moderator. She has been in the middle of conversations that are bridging the gap between fashion and art and tech, and she's really been able to explain these things to multiple people from all, whether it's a tech person or whether it's a fashion person or someone that's just entered the space or has been in the space. So I'm really excited to have you here, Opé, and all of our panelists really who have been in the space. It's, Metaverse is not exactly anything new, but we've been in the space for a while. So if we could do a couple of minutes, just take a couple of minutes just to introduce yourself, and we'll start with Opé and then just go around, and then we'll jump into the Q&A.
Good day, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. I have been working as a fashion stylist my whole life, and then fashion tech came along and gave me some added excitement during COVID. I'm looking forward to moving forward in the space, which we know now as the Metaverse. It came before Mark Zuckerberg made the announcement. Surprisingly to some, but these people here today will prove to you that they've been working in the space and that they've been, living in it, breathing in it, and been in the trenches long before Meta was known to anyone else. Me personally, I've been excited ever since I started to have conversations about sustainability and digital fashion design. And then someone told me when I asked where will we wear all of these digital clothing and wearables, she said to me, we're going to wear it in the Metaverse. And I was just like, wow, what's the Metaverse? And that started a whole year worth of research and conversations and discussions with people that helped me to learn more about what the Metaverse was. And I hope that today these people here who are experts in the field will help you to expand your knowledge or give you some insight about what the Metaverse is. We're going into the Metaverse. Nova, please tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Opé. I am Nova Lorraine. Very nice to be here with you all to discuss this exciting topic. I'm a fashion designer. I've been in the industry for over 20 years. And my experience as a designer and entrepreneur inspired me to launch Rain magazine about 15 years ago. And that is the intersection of fashion, culture, and technology. And that desire to continue to assist and inspire creatives has expanded into a book that I released earlier this year in 2021 to help further guide creatives and designers in how to accomplish their dreams as an entrepreneur. And my newest venture is diving into the Metaverse and all things crypto. And so I advise two companies, decentralized companies, on their journey into the Metaverse. One focuses on making NFTs more accessible to the lake community, and the other is allowing more opportunities for brick and mortar retailers and boutiques to better access and utilize crypto and the metaverse space. So really excited. I am also working on my own project in terms of bringing rain into the metaverse. So it's a space that I've been living in very intensely this past year, and started my crypto journey as an investor about 4 years ago. And so, yeah, excited to be here with all of you and discussing this topic.
Thank you so much, Nova. Israel, please tell us about your journey in the metaverse so far.
Yeah, my name's Israel. I'm an artist and technologist. I'm actually, excuse the car I just checked out of my hotel for NFT NYC. So currently, I'm the creative director. We're launching a platform on Solana blockchain called Snow Crash, and working with the Shanghai Museum of Modern Art and a bunch of plethora of other people, UNICEF, the Audubon Society. I work with Bit Basil. So right now I just advise blockchain startups and crypto startups by and large. That's most of my contracts are advisory, but slowly but surely a lot of art contracts are coming in and people are paying attention to me as an artist. So it's this three years ago, I decided that I was going to be a crypto artist at some point. This is prior to the catch term NFT. NFT has always been like this, it's a technical term for the thing. It never was. It was always called crypto art. So I decided I was going to be a crypto artist about 3 years ago, but I foresaw it coming far later in life than it did now. But we've ramped up this year, and I have the pleasure of helping start this conversation along with Lady Phoenix, who's out here in NYC with me as well. And we were able to begin to expose more of the world. And so that's really crazy how Black people at the vanguard were the reason why this is exposed to the world and the reason why this spike happened. But just like many other things, we see us ignored when the telling of the history is told. And only thing that humbles me is that I see her being ignored. And I feel like her contribution was so significant that none of this probably might likely have happened at this point without her creating those conversations around people, highlighting it, trying to get people into Christie's and all these different things. So I've been witness to this new era of NFTs, and have a pleasure of being the one who educated the educators in the space and recognized by my peers as such. And now I just work day to day advising companies and advising artists around how to take the most advantage of this technology called blockchain as artists and creators. So really that's my core focus, are entertainment related properties. Earlier this year, I launched the NFTs for American Gods, a Stars episodic thing written by Neil Gaiman. Then I launched another sold out project, Concrete Park, written by Eric Alexander, who used to be on Living Single. And then I worked briefly at partnered with Quincy Jones to launch a music platform on Tezos. And so I've got a lot of experience with the launching of companies and how it works in regards to this field. So I'm happy to contribute any way I can. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Israel. Hey, Teddy, Mr. Metaverse, as he's known to some. Can you tell us about yourself, Teddy? Is he frozen? Oh, Teddy?
Yeah.
Teddy, it's just a bit broken. Let's see here. How can we?
And now Opé. Now seems like I think you might want to refresh, Teddy, or log out, log out, or change your internet connection. Oh, you live now.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he's gonna go off and come back on, and then he can introduce himself then.
Let me switch. Oh, hello.
Teddy,
Yes, we
yes.
hear you, Teddy.
Well, how about you introduce yourself and then turn on the video, because that might be part of the problem with the connection. Are you there, Teddy? Okay, I don't hear him. Does anyone hear him?
Not right now.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on, and then when he comes back, we can introduce him and everything, and we could just start with the questions. I'll leave it to you, Opé.
So, Nova, what is your perspective on where we stand currently in the metaverse?
We're just at the very beginning, in my opinion, scratching the surface, actually. And with that said, I think it's an exciting time because it's still a wide open landscape, and whatever you can imagine can still happen right now. We have both the decentralized side of development and the centralized side. And most of us here probably heard of the Facebook announcement, which represents part of the centralized side, along with other companies that are in the game, such as Epic and NVIDIA and IBM. And then you have your decentralized side of things, such as Sandbox and Decentraland, that are creating their experiences as well for users and creators. So I feel that we're at the very, early stages of what's being referred to as Web 3.0, as the convergence of 2D experiences on the internet to 3D experiences that bridge both our physical and digital lives together. And that's where I feel we are right now in the state of the metaverse.
You know what, Nova, you've said some amazing stuff, but just for anyone who may not know, you mentioned three things. You said decentralized, you said centralized, and you said Web3. Now, I want you to just, define what that is for anyone who's new to the conversation on the metaverse.
Yeah, sure. So once upon a time, we didn't have the internet. It was called the World Wide Web, right? And it was in DOS format, and it was an open source platform. And that then graduated to a closed platform, a closed source platform, and in two-dimensional form as what we see now. And so it's primarily driven by major tech companies such as Google and Facebook and the like. And most of our experiences are two-dimensional. So they went from presentation, poster-like websites to more animated and immersive websites that we have now. Web 3.0 is a direction that the internet is going, and it's going to include experiences that incorporate AR, augmented reality, VR, virtual reality, AI, artificial intelligence, and it will bridge our physical experience with our digital experience. What that ultimately looks like is still yet to be known and seen, because we are at the very beginning. And as I mentioned, you have development happening through companies that are controlled by a board or a president, a governing team within a traditional corporation, such as a Google or a Facebook, versus companies that are created as decentralized, which means there is no traditional head of the company. It's run by the community. The governance is done through tokens and voting of the members that own those tokens for those companies. And the community drives the development of the technology and the experiences that are created through those technologies. And did I cover each of the terms?
Yes, you did. You did very good. High marks. Teddy, are you able to I just want to make sure you're able to communicate with us now. Can you tell us who you are? Give us some insight about Teddy, Mr. Metaverse, Pahagbia. Oh no, not yet. Okay, we'll wait. Okay, we'll wait for him to come back. But Israel, tell me where you are right now. Now you already said a lot, but just as it relates to where we are right now in the metaverse, what are your thoughts about where we are in the metaverse and how it relates to all of the things that you have done so far that you mentioned earlier? Oh, your mic is off. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Now I don't know how to get back to my camera, but hopefully you guys, okay, there we go.
We can see you.
So, yeah, thank you. So right now, what I see is that there's a lot more interest in this than there ever has been before. More people are being onboarded into the space than ever before, and the people who are already attacking these things are getting funding and are getting the ability to execute on these different things. The metaverse is like the entirety of everything, and then there's all these little mini universes within the metaverse. And so I've watched Decentraland just spike in price recently with the announcement of Facebook calling itself Meta. Everyone started to go research the metaverse, and now I see interest in Overland and all these other projects. So when I first bought Mana for Decentraland, and Decentraland was just this series of black squares and an idea of what it would be. And now 4 years later or whatever it is, it's now its own little universe where you can have a character run around in there. You can build something, you can build a museum, you can build a store. The next level will be the interoperability. So Web 2 was this interoperable web where you could do your website on different types of browsers and all of this stuff. And Web 3, through like decentralized nodes and direct browser access with connecting your wallet, allows people to interact with websites directly in that way, and websites to interact directly with each other on the blockchain. And now what my work is around Web 4, which is the spatial web. So I'm working with Dreamland VR. We're going to build, or with BitBasil is working with Dreamland VR, and we're going to build an overlay of Art Basel in the metaverse. And we just recently did the one for Burning Man in Altspace in the metaverse. Actually, Artsy was supervised by my friend and mentor in Web 4, Scarlett. So it's a very small world. Once you get into it, everybody kind of knows each other, and people are working on different things. And now suddenly there's a lot of attention on this very new space, and I'm looking forward to see what happens next.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, we heard the recent announcement from Facebook, who changed their name to Meta. What were your thoughts around this as people who are working in the metaverse space? I know you mentioned stocks, went up. Nova, mentioned some things as well. Both of you? What are your thoughts about what happened and how it relates to how you work in the metaverse right now?
Okay, I'll start. Well, I'll give my personal reaction to the video. I knew that Facebook was coming out with this announcement. It wasn't a surprise. But the initial video clip I saw, I was like, because in my mind, I know, the things that I'm working on and where I want to go with it. So again, I thought it was just a very elementary introduction to some of the things that can happen to how individuals can use the metaverse and conceptualize the metaverse. And I think that's important because when I'm having conversations with individuals outside the space, it's really hard for them to wrap their heads around it. And so now it's at least a visual reference of something that can be done, not the entirety, just a fraction of what can be done through the eyes of one organization. And I did have mixed feelings. You know, one of the thoughts is using the word meta as you know, the metaverse being, as Israel said, this encompassing umbrella of all things that can happen with this new digital world, immersive world, and having Meta as a brand really, I think, muddies the waters in terms of what people are going to perceive as the metaverse when those conversations happen. If their first introduction to the metaverse was the Meta video from Facebook, they may assume that anything dealing with the metaverse has to do with Facebook and their world and their perception of what the metaverse is. And so from a branding perspective, I thought it was genius. We know that that name was, you know, held on to, that they had captured that name many years ago before they made the announcement of it. But I feel that from a communication standpoint and the language of educating people on what the metaverse is, I think it just makes it a little muddy for those of us that are in the space. And that's my thought of the announcement. I feel that it's even more important for individuals to educate themselves beyond just watching the Facebook video and to really understand all that is happening. I love the fact that Israel's already working on Web 4.0, and to see where the opportunities are and to educate themselves on what is blockchain, what is crypto, what is a wallet, you know, and these terms that are being thrown out, and what does that mean in terms of how I can use as an individual, how I can use and or engage or be entrepreneurial in this new space.
Thank you, Nova. And then to Israel, what is the truth of what the metaverse is? You've talked about cryptocurrency, crypto art, crypto. I also call what we do crypto fashion and crypto art as well. Because that's what it is. It's funded on cryptocurrency. Yeah. But what do you speak to the person? What is the truth of what the metaverse is? Since we know what, you know, like Nova said, the waters have been muddied. What is the actual truth of what the metaverse is, Israel?
Well, you know, like if we think about the universe is all that exists, right? So now the metaverse just extended that into the meta, into the immaterial, into the ether. So now we have another layer of our universe being built, a multiverse, if you will, being built. But yeah, the metaverse is a description of all of these things that will exist in AR, XR, VR, that we will interact with. You know, that's the metaverse, this alternate universe built on top of ours that we can tap into through our glasses or through portals or through whatever way that they're. For me, Facebook doing this is exciting. Only way it would be more exciting is if I was part of the team or something like that. But as far as this goes, it legitimizes the direction. Everything all these people's actions have done is legitimize me and put me in a better and better position. That's all that's going to continue to happen. They can't go back and put 12 years of work into working on this stuff. So for people like me who have put 12 years of work into working on this stuff, then it just means that we'll be better and better positioned. I'll never put in a job application again. I'll never have to interview or prove myself to anyone again, or have even I never have a second conversation, a follow-up conversation with someone until they send me some money. I'm only able to do that because of everyone trying to jump in this. When before there was no opportunity here. There was no place for me to do this. It was rare. It was hard. It was like very opaque. How do you become an engineer? How do you go and work for a crypto company? Now in 1 year, all these kids who I taught about NFTs, like Latasha and Lizzie and all these people, are working at Zora. They're working at OpenSea. They've got jobs. They've got all this different stuff around in the crypto industry. Only thing is, they're being used. Lots of times they'll use us on platforms to build their community, but building our own platforms is really where the quote unquote bag is, or where the power play is in building our own platforms. So actually, I'm in talks. I'm attempting to build my own platform, like Decentraland and things like that. And I brought together teams and I work on a whole bunch of different projects that are attacking this specifically. So that's what I look forward to personally, is having the ability now legitimized by Facebook's play to go and raise a couple of $1 million to attack the same thing, and then do it in a way that represents the culture and in partnership with people from the culture, like a LeBron James or someone else that I'm closely connected to. So that's really what I look forward to next.
To Nova, what is your position as a person who has a background in sustainability, for people who have concern about the environment as it relates to blockchains and things of that? But before you even go there, if anybody can, give anyone who does not know the essential quick definition of blockchain, if you can fill them in on what that is before we even talk about what the environmental concerns or impacts are for blockchain. Thank you.
Yeah, no, great question. So think of blockchain as all of us here knows what a Rubik's Cube is from a visual perspective. And think of that cube holding data. And that data is encrypted and can't be changed, or it's very difficult to change it. And when you add new actions or tasks or information, a new cube is created, and those cubes are connected. And that data is verified by a community of individuals through their computer systems to verify the authenticity of that data. And so the information is stored on a public ledger. So it's just think of a report with a bunch of letters and numbers, strings of code that hold that data and represent that information that's in that cube. And so it allows for transparency, allows for trackability. And these are things that are very important in the fashion industry to assist in minimizing the negative impact that our production and supply chains are currently having on the environment. And so I launched the Rain School of Fashion of Innovation and Sustainability earlier this year to help bring bridge the gap of communication, lack of access of information to the industry and those that are interested in making a difference and moving the needle forward with minimizing the negative impact that fashion is currently having. And so with this education, we talk about blockchain, we talk about other innovative technologies that can assist in processes and new developments in textiles that are more eco-friendly. And so as it relates to sustainability, digital fashion, crypto fashion, as you mentioned, is something that does not physically harm the environment. However, there is concern around the electricity, the power that's used to support the computers that are used to mine the tokens that are attached to these physical assets, and or support the blockchain technology that is assisting in the transparency and trackability of the supply chain right now. However, the power that's used is minimal in terms of the effects that it has on the environment compared to what fast fashion is doing to the environment and all that comes with that. The water usage that's used just to create, products and fabrics such as our traditional denim and cotton. And so, yes, there is an impact, and there is research and developments that are being made to minimize that impact as it relates to the energy that's being used to mine these tokens, and that allows us to create the crypto fashion and crypto art. But it's nowhere in comparison to what's happening right now in creating fast fashion and the disposal of all these items of apparel in the landfills right now around the world. Your mic is muted. Okay.
Thank you, Nova. Sorry. So are we helping? Are we adding? Or is this a solution? Or is this going to be something that we see as something we have to clean up as well?
No, I think the current technologists that own, so for example, a lot of the tokens are being minted on Ethereum. There are solutions that are being worked on right now to make Ethereum more efficient. There's Ethereum 2.0, and there are other competitors to Ethereum that are claiming to be more eco-friendly in terms of the power usage. So, but it's a slice of the pie as it relates to the solution for sustainability. It is nowhere near the exclusive solution. Just creating digital fashion to wear on your selfies on Instagram is a fraction of what needs to be done to minimize the effects of our supply chain. But it is a solution. It allows not just for sustainability of our garments, but sustainability of our art, of our craftsmen, of our artists, the financial sustainability as well. So sustainability, I feel, is a much bigger term and umbrella than just what we're focused on around the environment and energy. It also comes back to us. And if we can sustain ourselves as artists and creators and designers, and so crypto art and crypto fashion also adds to the financial sustainability of the creative community as well.
Thank you so much, Nova. Speaking of that, Israel, can you unmute and let me know to someone who is, you're mentoring artists, you are creating art. I'm an artist myself. I may be looking for some mentorship from you after this because I definitely need help in that aspect. I'm fortunate to be able to present later on today in the art reception. But I wanted to know now, how do you feel like, as a person who's been doing art before this, how do you feel the transition, into crypto art? How is that for you? And how is it, for anybody who wants to get into it? Like, what kind of advice do you have for people to do it? But first, how was it for you to transition from being a regular artist or physical artist into a digital artist?
Well, actually, that wasn't actually my journey. So I've been doing biz dev work for the last 10. I was a rapper before. The last person I rapped with was Kendrick Lamar thing. And then I went into business because rap was so predatory. I got taken advantage of. And my unwillingness to be able to take advantage of made it so that my talent got ignored because they saw, oh, this guy's sharp. He knows contracts. He's really, he's teaching other people about this stuff. He's messing up other people's deals. People are and these guys are actually like people's sons. These guys are like children. You can't even go and talk to this individual without talking to this other man first. And it's a lot of mob stuff and dirty stuff and politics involved in the thing. So I went into business 11 years ago now, to 11, close to 12 years ago now, and raised money for businesses and ran businesses and helped them become more aesthetically pleasing and all those different things. Then in 20, and then like I said, I've been in crypto. In 2009, I attempted to launch as one of my first business ventures. I attempted to launch a platform that paid people in Bitcoin for doing social media actions like Facebook, but Facebook hadn't monetized nor had Bitcoin. Then in 2018, I was at this conference called the Ethereal Conference. It was here. Actually, I'm back in Brooklyn right now because I'm about to go see Craig Anthony Miller. Now he's an artist, but I was here at a conference and I saw this piece of digital art sold for over $250,000, and it wasn't a dope piece of art, nor was the artist. I was the dopest person in the building. Deepak Chopra was standing next to me. Mike Novgratz, the person who put on the conference, pulls me to the side to talk to me privately after I asked some questions to Deepak Chopra that she related to. And I had that type of crowd, same as I have here, going around me, but I wasn't an artist. I had no way to, and the crazy, and going back, I've been doing commissions since I was 7 years old. I draw people's faces and different things like that, but I never saw a pathway for me to gain income being an artist until NFTs. And then in May, I made my first NFT. There's still many of them left. It was Derek Chauvin, the police officer, kneeling on George Floyd's neck. And then in October, I put out a Malcolm X made out of flowers, and I've shared it on my Facebook, and it sold within an hour to a person that still doesn't have any other NFTs in their wallet It's just that they just like my art and they figured out how to buy it, but there wasn't enough of an audience. Still, there isn't enough. I do black art, extremely black art, so that and black iconography, and there's so until there's a mass audience that starts to plug into that and want to collect black iconography, then I'm still on the back burner as an artist. Actually, next month I'm in the Shanghai Museum of Modern Art, and that may change a lot of people's perspective on my iconography because I'm dealing with a real icon. But as far as my advice goes, my advice from for artists that I've gotten from artists is anyone that gives you advice is telling you something wrong. Your journey is your journey. Every single artist has their own individual journey, their own individual path. There is no blueprint to success as an artist unless you are one of these certain people, and they're not artists, they're marketers. They're great at marketing. Their art may not even be good, but they're great at massaging people, utilizing psychological triggers through their voice or through advertising or through placement of themselves next to really interesting people, and or in the forefront of new ideas like NFTs, which that's probably, I think that was one of your part of your question as well. How do I feel? I feel like there's a lot of people that are opportunistically taking advantage of artists and this NFT space because it's a hot space that never would have supported artists before, and never thought about Bitcoin or blockchain before, and in the last 9 months have uplifted themselves as experts of this thing. Many of them who were just at this conference. Many of the speakers have zero experience and zero anything to contribute to the broader conversation of artistry or crypto. All they can do is repeat what they've heard from someone who knew or some people that thought they knew, and the ideas become redundant. What I hope is that there's a little kid right now in Sierra Leone that can draw. He should have the ability to begin to look at a life of him being an artist. And I believe we just crossed the threshold where that possibility is ever more apparent. That now kids or rap or musicians have through independence were able to change the game. And now we have more musicians making more money than ever before, especially in terms of hip hop. Hopefully that same thing happens now. Now we have a portal for artists to begin to express themselves and create money. And if we look at Nyla, or we look at Latasha, or we look at anyone else, we look at people that had success in this new space that wouldn't have had success in the world as it priorly existed. I wrote an article about Latasha in 2011 saying that she was a dope rapper, and it didn't fall on deaf ears. There were people following her. She has a decent following of people who like to rap, but there was no pathway for her to gain income and or significant income or change her life. And now suddenly there is. So that's what I really think right now. For me, this is the only reason that I'm an artist. It's the reason that it's the way that I'm being able to promote myself as an artist. All the opportunities around my art and the possibility of that were created because of NFTs and crypto art and crypto. So hopefully other people get blessed just like me to start to be able to experience their creativity. Crazy thing is I'm the creative director at this company called Snow Crash. They brought me in for this Shanghai project as the artist. They didn't even know what I did. And then when they got me in their first meeting, they talked to me. Second meeting, they come back and they gave me an advisory contract. They still haven't filled out my artist contract, but they already paid me as an advisor. And then they doubled my pay and got me on board as a team member, to help do the lead creative on all these projects. So the art is now leading people to what I do, and what I do is now making me more valuable to artists, my artist friends, and people working on these things. So it all correlates. But I think every single person individually has their own path that they have to discover, and I've been advised by some really great artists that that's kind of the best, and that was the best repertory advice I got. It's like, yo, it's your journey. If I was to tell you how this happened, it seems like a miracle. um there's nobody that can explain how people get to a higher and higher level. Like, I can't explain it. Somebody asked me, oh man, da 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 da, and I think the question was, how does this happen, man? I said, man, God. I say, like, blame God. I feel blessed. Why I'm so blessed? I'm far from perfect, but I'm continually shown by the Creator that there's something for me on the other side of this. So I just try to deliver.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that it's opened up so many doors, and that you were once a young boy and creating art, and you didn't know what the path was going to be, and now you've discovered it through NFTs. I'd like to speak to Nova about because we're also talking about the transformation of not just art but also of fashion. And is Teddy back? I just want to make sure if he's back. I don't want him to be disincluded. Is he on audio? Can Teddy? No, okay. So, So Nova, if you would please share with us what the thoughts are around how how we have, gone from digital to physical, from physical to digital fashion, and what that all entails. Someone asked if we see the relationship between the physical need for clothing as shelter and the potential for artistic fashion expression in the metaverse. Do you see the future of fashion as strictly digital, as means to reduce consumption and the transition of daily wear to a more practical and need-based realm? And I want to add to that. Here's the thing, because I've been in these conversations around the digital fashion or crypto fashion, and do you think that this is, and I've asked them, I just want to hear your opinion so that you can tell these people here today. Do you think that this is going to replace fashion? Are we going to just, in the metaverse, is it strictly on digital fashion and no other fashion? Like, what's going to go on? What's the future of this as we head into the metaverse with fashion?
Yeah, so it depends on what we're saying the future is. If we're looking at Ready Player One, versus where we are now. I mean, fashion represents not only what we're wearing, but it's a storyteller of our history, of our economy, of our culture, of our own personal expression. And so fashion is, in the physical sense, is never going to go away, right? Where we are in history, whatever moment that is, what we're wearing is going to reflect the times. Is going to reflect our moods. How we want to communicate to the world visually is going to be part of that expression in terms of what we wear. And we can see that now, depending on where you are in the world. So physical fashion isn't going anywhere. We still have the functional need, but we also still have the human need of communicating through fashion, through clothing, through apparel. In terms of the transformation, it's pretty phenomenal, actually. I went to FIT at a time where CAD, computer-aided design, was in its infancy. And the emphasis was still on your traditional pen and paper sketching, the traditional cutting and drawing paper patterns. And it has moved from CAD design to now three-dimensional and animated design, where you have avatars that represent models that you can book actually for a digital virtual photo shoot. And so just to see that arc is pretty incredible. But we're still, even as it relates to digital fashion, still in the very beginning stages of what that's going to turn into. Right now, there's a convergence of both physical and digital as it relates to gaming. As we can see, you can turn a traditional pair of Nikes or Gucci sneakers into what's called skins and wear them on your avatars in games. And that's the initial, part of that. Where it can go is you as a designer can create and launch your digital boutique and digital fashion and sell it to consumers within the metaverse at some point, but initially just online. And you can decide if you want to convert those digital fashions into physical products and still have that crossover between digital and physical. and be able to enjoy not only the revenues from your digital art, but then also the revenue from your physical art. So that's where it can go. And anything that you can imagine in the fashion industry that you can do, you can also imagine it in the virtual space. So again, think of Web 3.0 as a 3D version of the internet. So we have styling that's done both virtually and both physically right now that can also exist in Web 3.0. You know, and then of course there's commerce, and there's art just for the sake of art. There's fabric design that's being sold on the blockchain for 5 figures for a swatch of fabric.
Mhm.
And I'm obsessed with fabric. And if, you know, in design school, if someone would tell me that I can make $10,000 or $20,000 off my swatch creation on the blockchain, I would have said, what's blockchain? And no way. And so going back to what Israel said, there's so much more opportunity now for artists that are able to digitize their work. And so I feel that the transformation right now is more the convergence and really thinking out of the box in terms of where you can place yourself. Maybe it's on the educational side of things, like I'm doing with the Lorraine School. Maybe it's as the artist. Maybe it's as the salesperson, the one creating the boutiques and creating that interface. Wholesale design and sale, you know, and stores and showrooms also can exist in Web 3.0, just like they exist now. So I think there's a lot of things that are exciting that's going on. I'm currently advising a company called Style DNA that is merging AI and styling. So you as an individual can use artificial intelligence to find your perfect color, silhouette, and fit in terms of what you purchase, and alternatively contributing to the sustainable movement by getting the perfect look through artificial intelligence styling. So there's so much happening, not just on the NFT and blockchain side, but also in AR, VR, and artificial intelligence.
So let's say a person wants to go into the metaverse. You know, we've been discussing, you know, how people you know, can move in the spaces, but people want to experience the metaverse and what that entails. When you know, when it was announced about about Meta, there was some very compelling you know, video of what that was supposed to look like. Now we've already been experiencing it. Those of us that have been working in, you know, and living and breathing in the space, we've been to Decentraland, we've been to Crypto Voxels, some of us have been to Sansar, you know, which is more hyper realistic. I actually live in AltSpace VR, and you know, there's also, you know, Facebook Horizon, which has been in beta for a while. How do we advise people to get here to the metaverse? How have you been getting into the metaverse? What means do you use to get into the metaverse?
Yeah, so my journey into the metaverse started initially in gaming. When you think about gaming, it is our first entree into the metaverse.
Yeah.
And so through Minecraft, Sandbox, Decentraland, and then NFTs is also an entry point into the metaverse. And all of those things are things that I'm involved in. I tried Oculus when it first came out. I've been following that story. You know, with Rain, we're always looking for the new and the rising. And I was following the founder, the inventor of Oculus, this young gentleman, created it in his garage.
Yeah.
And in its very crude form, it was purchased by Facebook. And so when it was released for the first time, I tried it on. It was a very cool concept, but I also got very nauseous and dizzy. And so we know that the technology isn't there for everyone who has, there's a delay, of course, between, you know, the brain reading and your eye reading the experience, which can cause vertigo or dizziness, right? And so not everyone needs to enter the metaverse through a headset device. You can enter it, as I said, through many of the means that I mentioned. Fortnite is a version of the metaverse. It is an immersive, interactive digital experience. And so it's just a centralized component of the metaverse. And where we see a lot of growth and excitement is on the decentralized, and some of the brands that you mentioned, such as Decentraland and Sandbox, where you can go in and create your experience, your world. And independent artists and developers and creators have a lot more freedom to develop an experience that they want for themselves and for others. And so I think there is a misperception that you need a device and a headset to get into the metaverse. Again, that is a fraction of one experience that you can have. And so if you're into gaming, if you're into NFTs, if you're into joining worlds and experiencing shows such as fashion shows or concerts, you can choose one of the other platforms that I mentioned as well.
Yeah, thank you, Nova, because, and that's true, because when we talk about the metaverse, we're talking about so many different aspects. We're talking about augmented reality, which you're already, experiencing if you have experienced something like Snapchat. As Nova mentioned, there are other metaverses, even the one that most of you, if you have children, most of you have already heard about Roblox. Roblox is a metaverse. It's just a metaverse for children. Decentraland is a metaverse, but it is not an immersive metaverse. It is a 2D experience currently, but people are able to sell their fashion NFTs. They're able to sell their art NFTs. They have all kinds of different places that you can, have e-commerce and whatnot. There's also the opportunity to purchase real estate, what we call virtual real estate, what Israel was talking about earlier. Israel, when you were saying earlier that, when you first went on Decentraland, that it was nothing but, black square blocks, and now it's so populated. I don't know if he can hear me. The camera just went off, but now there are people who are, buying real estate on some of these places that are virtual. They're metaverses, and to a lot of people, I remember when we were talking about this earlier this year. It seems ridiculous. People are like, what? People are buying, it's not real. But it's virtual, and it is real in the virtual metaverse. In the metaverse, these places are real. So people are buying land in places like CryptoVoxel. They're buying land in Decentraland. They're buying land in Superworld. They're buying land, there's a new one, the Meta World. All these places are places where people are buying virtual land. What are your thoughts about this, Nova, until we get Teddy or
well, real estate is a hobby of mine, and I actually went as far as getting my license because I just wanted to learn more about the legal side of the industry. So the current project I'm working on actually incorporates buying land in the metaverse. And I feel that it's one of the most easily understood ways of getting in and participating, because most people have had the experience to have their parents purchase a home or purchase a home themselves or a lot or what have you. And so it's a very translatable experience in the metaverse. And some of these other experiences may not necessarily be. One of the companies that I advised, which is called Metagame Hub, is making NFTs more accessible through one of their initial activities that are available, which is purchasing land in Sandbox, right next to Snoop Dogg's mansion and property. And there are plenty of places that already have land in Sandbox, such as Tesla and Atari and well-known brands like that. So individuals are coming in to scoop up what's considered valuable property that sits next to existing brands. If you like Monopoly, there's an opportunity to buy land in Upland, which sells think of Google Maps on the blockchain. And so if you want to own land in Manhattan or on Rodeo Drive, you can go into Upland and purchase land there. For example, a CVS in Upland on a corner lot CVS was going for $3,000 not too long ago. It's probably much more expensive now. But yeah, and this is just digital NFTs. And so I think the land purchase opportunity is extremely exciting. It's something that I'm deeply involved in and excited to bring to life in my project. But if you're curious and interested, Metagame Hub is an easy way to get in and purchase land in one of the metaverses such as Sandbox.
Thank you so much, Nova. Israel, any thoughts on virtual real estate in the metaverse? I know I was saying earlier that you were speaking to the fact that when you first got on Decentraland, there were nothing but black boxes, because these were all plots of land, nobody was on it, and now it's going for a lot of money. There's a lot of money invested into these plots. There are districts. There are art districts. There are fashion districts. There's a Bitcoin district I saw in Decentraland. What are your thoughts on real estate? And some people say it's ridiculous. Some people say it can't translate into the metaverse. But what do you say?
I say I wish I bought more. I wish that I was more sure of myself. The technology was underdeveloped. So it was not even that they were just black boxes because nobody was building on them. There was nothing that you could build on Decentraland at the time. And then to see it come to where it's come, that just makes me think that it's only going to go further. And I'm just looking for other opportunities to be involved. And then really, like for me, the big payoff is just building these things. Like the only reason I'll jump off a bridge right now is because I know I can go out here and I can build something that'll significantly push me forward. And so yes, they're buying land, as Nova mentioned, upland, overland, super world, Earth 2.0, Decentraland, Somnium, all of them have gone up significantly in value, especially in the last month as Facebook made this announcement. And so they are viable, right? Where else can you buy a piece of property that everyone around the world can visit and interact with you? This is real. So I just was one of my closest friends around this NFT thing. His name is Dylan Toll, and he's the technologist for Lady Phoenix. And they just built this thing called the Meta Gala. And if you look up the Meta Gala, you see a digital fashion show, the best executed digital fashion show that they built. And so there's going to be plenty more there's going to be plenty more options and plenty more things to do. And if you're right now, we have Parents Fashion Week, we have New York Fashion Week, we have Art Basel. People can travel to those. Some people can travel to those and some people can experience them. And me, luckily, I'm in that privilege now where I'm going to get to go and I'm going to get to experience this. But there were years where I didn't have any option to possibly go. Now, every single person with a $400 headset or with a mobile phone can go and experience that place. If a person doesn't see value in that, that's just their personal perspective. That doesn't value deep into the land itself. And as far as numbers go, real estate has been on a tear, crazily enough. And I think it's gonna have a pullback, and hopefully it has a pullback so I can get some real estate prices in the real world. We just went up 40% year over year, and it'd be stupid to buy a house right now at these prices, because when we pull back, now you've got a house that you paid more for than it's currently valued at. That's what happened to a lot of people that look like us in 2007 and 2008. More black wealth was stolen from us than in the Tulsa riots or in any other riot, in any other action previously. Nothing hurt us more than the 2008 debacle, which they blamed on us and subprime loans. But the subprime loans were created after 30 years of thievery and robbery to bundle us and to make us look like we were the ones in the wrong with that. Well, our option here is to buy land and build things on our own. And those things are not connected in value-wise to the common economy, to the legacy economy. And that could be really powerful when the legacy economy starts to flip, or when property values start going down. And once again, not financial advice, but I would love to see the numbers. And I believe that virtual real estate will outperform physical real estate over time for the reasons I just stated.
Thank you. Do we have Teddy back yet? Okay. So yeah, as we move on in this sphere, that we now know as the metaverse, what do you all think is what do you think if I had a question that came up about if all of these things that we describe, with their success in the actual digital world were to, if they were doing just as well as their physical counterparts, do you think that it would be more or less sustainable as it stands? Which one do you think would rate that way? I think, Nova, you may want to answer that question.
Yeah, I think depending on how we're defining sustainability, are we looking at financial sustainability and scalability, and or are we looking at environmental impact? If we total up the millions of units of garments that are being produced each year and decide to recreate those on the blockchain, that's a problem. So right now, where we stand with the technology that we have as it relates to minting on the blockchain, and although there are more sustainable solutions, obviously there was Bitcoin and now there's Ethereum and there's XRP and these other more sustainable technologies that use less energy. And we have now a solar powered player, called Candela in the space. We can't just replicate what we were doing in the physical world as it relates to minting right now. It's a matter of looking at why are we doing it? Why are we entering to this space? If this is a solution, how do we optimize the solution? We don't recreate the same problem in the digital world. We look at how to best optimize the problem in the digital world. As it relates to sustainability in terms of financial sustainability and scalability, Israel just mentioned the opportunity in terms of wealth building, I feel is a sustainable option within the metaverse because we are so early in the space. And you do have a variety of ways that you can enter in the space. May you be an artist and a graphic designer, a fashion designer, a fine artist. May you be a developer. May you be an investor or a collector. So there are opportunities for wealth building that will allow you sustainability. And one of the reasons is that there is an opportunity for for sale, for you to make revenue off of secondhand sales. So myself as a fashion designer, if I create a garment and I sell it to customer A in the real world, that's it. I never see it again. And I made that one-time sale. In the blockchain space, if I sell that garment and in the smart contract, the data that's being held on this blockchain, it states that when that garment resells, when that art piece resells, when that music resells and exchanges hand in terms of ownership, as the originator, I also get paid. And so for the life of that unit, that artistic unit, every time it changes hands in terms of a new owner, I get residual revenue. And so that's sustainable from a financial standpoint. So I think it just depends on how we're defining sustainability. Are we talking about the power that's being used on the grid, on the blockchain, or are we speaking of financial sustainability and scalability as it relates to wealth building?
Thank you. Someone was asking, what does it take to mine a token? They want us to be a little bit more elaborate about what that entails.
Yeah, so to mine a token, there are several platforms you can go on to if you're looking to purchase art or if you're looking to sell your art. So you would need to be familiar with cryptocurrency. You would need to have a wallet, an exchange to purchase through, with crypto as opposed to fiat currency. And the technology that's used currently for most art is Ethereum. You can also get art on the Solana network. And so it's the that process of purchasing that allows that minting to occur, which is just a creation of the code. And so just getting familiar, if you use an exchange like Uphold or Coinbase, for example, and you purchase Bitcoin or Ethereum, you're using the blockchain technology to obtain that token. And so there's a similar process when you're actually minting or buying NFTs. But the entry point is through familiarizing yourself with cryptocurrency, that transactional process, how that's done.
Thank you so much for that, Nova. Israel, I don't know if you heard
Yeah,
that.
I heard it. I think if they're asking a question about mining, Nova explained it so well. A lot of these things, she explained well. The minting process is separate from the mining process. Mining would be if you're mining, you use computer processing power. Let's say if you're back in the day when Bitcoin first came online, you could launch this node on your computer. You would download the entire Bitcoin blockchain, and then your blockchain either would act in two different ways. It would act for confirmation, so a verification of other blockchains, and then also it would do this decryption. So she talked about the blocks earlier. So every Bitcoin in the blockchain, there's these series of data blocks. Within each data block, there is a hash, a signature, and the previous hash from the previous block. That signature is the signature created by the block or by the miner that quote unquote mine that currency. In Bitcoin, like she's talking about solar stuff, and there's probably 1,000 different ways to mine coins. Proof of stake coins you mine by just staking your currency, and they give you more coins. But mining in Bitcoin sense is they're decrypting the hash. So there's a 16-digit hash inside of every single block, which is decrypted by a miner. Once that block is decrypted, then the miner or miners who help to decrypt that block are awarded that block, which is a whole Bitcoin, And at one time you could just get dozens and dozens of Bitcoin a day on your computer. And now to mine one Bitcoin, you need these things called these ASIC miners. And so mining is really out of the reach. Mining Bitcoin specifically is out of the reach of most people. On the Ethereum blockchain, it works similarly, but a lot of people you are still able to use GPUs, like high performance GPUs for gaming processors and video processing cards, and those decrypt the Ethereum blockchain in a similar manner.
Now, as far as I'm going to go back to virtual real estate. Someone asked a good question now. And I wonder this as well. We see like what land is available on a place like Decentraland, wherever, CryptoVoxel, all of those places. Now, would it be similar to like if a person wanted to buy land and then all of a sudden how we hear, oh, the land is running out. If it's virtual, would they just add more land? I mean, can it really run out if it's virtual? I'm just wondering.
I mean,
it can't.
Yeah, go ahead, Israel.
Yeah, no, it can't. But like if we look at we look at CryptoVoxels, right? There's certain land that's in higher demand on those original areas, like Nova's talking about certain plots being right next to another person. So there's the exclusivity. Yeah. Certain islands or certain plots of land may run out or this and that. But no, we can build 1,000 worlds within this world. The size of our world, we can build universes. People can travel from planet to planet. It's endlessly expansive. The things that they did in gaming, now we can do in ways that actually benefit the users. But we just have to fight as users for those types of platforms. We have to stop using things or rather being used by things that do not actually pay us or help benefit our lives in a significant way. We have to make those choices deliberately. That's why, even though I'm on Clubhouse, and I love the guys at Clubhouse, but I don't have anything against them. But as far as being on there all day, I can't contribute all of my time to Clubhouse because I'm building more equity for Clubhouse and more of a platform. By me sitting there and talking about these things, I've built more stuff for Clubhouse than they make an effort to build for me. And then what I do is I have to watch what rooms I go into, and I go into very few rooms that speak to things specifically me. So, like say, Opé, your rooms always have to do with VR and fashion and stuff like that. And I've been in those rooms because it makes sense. And I find value in the ultimate value is human beings. That was always my thesis. That's why I believe in Bitcoin when it didn't have a value. So now I can still spend time around valuable people and utilize these platforms. But when you begin to utilize these platforms frivolously, when you begin to entertain yourself with Instagram, or even worse, allow your children or the young people in your family to begin to entertain themselves and waste their time frivolously, you get what we got right now, which is a SpongeBob generation. That's what I call them, the SpongeBob generation. These kids are utterly confused about reality, and SpongeBob taught you these series of characters. They taught you the character that was endlessly immature. He was an infantile. The main character was endlessly infantile. Endlessly, his stupidity had no bounds, and he loves his job. He loves his job, and he goes to his job every day. This is your hero. Meanwhile, the smartest people, Squidward and Sandy, they're complete foreigners. They're crazy. They're too smart. They're stupid. They're so smart that they're stupid. And that's made fun of every time. The one guy who's getting the money is Mr. Krabs, and he's terrible because he loves money too much. Don't love money too much. Love your job and hang with your stupid friends. That's the job. That's the whole SpongeBob thing, a generation. So now people are wasting time at jobs that are not going to serve their life. They're wasting time with friends that are not going to serve their life. They listen to music, they watch movies that in no way is going to serve or prepare their lives, and then they complain or think ill of others when their lives are not where they want to be. And now with this, we have the opportunity, even through the metaverse, to literally step into another world and literally build your own success. Nova talked about CAD, and both you and Opé and I know Artsy. I'm sure, Nova, you may have ran across her too. But this girl literally went into this place. No money. It didn't take any money. It took some time. She got a skill. She built these templates. Over 20,000 people use her templates. And now she's paid thousands and thousands of dollars to build things. So somebody will buy the land and then they'll pay, or they don't have to buy land so much on Allspace. I don't know how that happened, how that works.
No, you don't have
to get your plot.
You don't have
you don't have to. Yeah, so you get your plot and you have the ability to develop it. And she's getting paid $5,000, $10,000 to develop people's museums or different places like that. Now look out into the future. There's going to be 1,000 of her.
Yeah.
And those who spend their time like that are going to have a beneficial life. Those who aren't valuable anymore are going to have less and less opportunities to be valueless, because there's going to be less and less Starbucks workers and less McDonald's workers, and AI and robots are going to replace a lot of physical labor, a lot of call center stuff. All those people are gone. So you're going to have to find a way to actually create value and delve into this. And so that's my outlook on that. Is there really people are going to have to start taking a hands-on approach and upskilling. And it looks like Nova, that's what she's doing. Is she came from a generation that was on paper, there was this and that. CAD was barely coming in, and over time she saw the change and she leaned into it, and now she's leaning into it. And and those are the people that are going to be successful. And those people that lean on the way that things used to be, or hope that Superman's coming to save them, or that that society's going to suddenly improve, they're in for a big surprise, because the have and the have-nots, that wealth gap is going to continue to grow. Only difference is now I really believe there's going to be a lot more Black faces on the other side of that gap because of this and a variety of other things.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on what Israel said. I think that's so important. If anyone that's listening, the takeaway is that the world is changing, if we like it or not. And if you see it as a train, you could decide if you want to be at the front of the train, the middle, or the end of the train. Do you want to be the conductor? Do you want to be the passenger? And what part of the train do you want to get on? It's all your choice. But it's imperative that you at least educate yourself and make an educated decision on where you want to be within this new change. There is a legacy system that we are living in right now, and it will change faster than we expect. And it's critical that our children, our young adults, that they are aware and are able to participate in this, because it's their future that's going to be most impacted. If I or Israel or Opé decided to never step into this world, we probably would be fine for the rest of our lives. But those that are younger than us, they will be greatly impacted. And I think one of the reasons that we are here is because we care, we're passionate about helping people enter into this new economy, to allow themselves the ability to participate, to create new ways of self-sustainability, to do the things that they love, you know, in a new environment. And so I love looking at history to learn from where we come from, but and also keeping an eye on the future. And the magic is, how do you bridge the two where you are right now? And so those skills that we're using right now in our physical world can be overlaid in a virtual world. And it doesn't mean you have to leave the physical world. It's taking that uniqueness and that perspective and that interest and seeing where can it be applied in this new frontier. We're talking about Web 3.0 and the Metaverse. Israel's already talking about Web 4.0. We haven't even touched on space. I mean, you don't have to do what we're doing and how we're doing it, but the point is, there is a new opportunity and you have the ability to participate in it.
Thank you, Nova. That's well said. It's well said on both of your parts. So we appreciate both of the feedback on that. You know, which leads to to closing this out. You know, where are we going? You know, where does this train lead to? You know, what's coming? What can people? You know, we've now gotten some clarity. We understand a bit about 3.0. We understand a bit about what's decentralized, what's centralized, what is NFT, what are NFTs, what is crypto art, what is digital fashion about, and things of that nature. And we've talked about the blockchain. We've talked about different realities, all of these things that make up what the metaverse. These are all subtitles that, come under the big title of metaverse. Where are we headed? I heard Israel talk about the 4.0, what do both of you have to say about where we're headed? And what should people look for? What should they be looking out for from your point of view? Nova, you go first.
Sure. I would say where we're heading, obviously, is a more immersive environment. We all use internet, the power of the internet. We all use smartphones, or a lot of different smartphones as part of our lives. And that's moving on to a new operating system, onto a new, in a new way of how we're going to use it and engage with both of those things. And it's the interpretation is different based on who you speak to, which company you're talking to, if you're on the centralized fence or decentralized fence, or both. And I feel where we're heading right in terms of 3 to 5 years is more augmented reality, more virtual reality, more holograms, things like that. What we're seeing now and what Mark Zuckerberg introduced in his video of Meta is literally just scratching the surface of where we're going. Those builders and developers of these platforms, such as Decentraland and Sandbox, behind the scenes, they're building a more immersive virtual reality experience. And so that's where we're heading as the next phase in 3 to 5 years, and more adoption, more wide adoption, not just those that are at the forefront now, the creators and visionaries that are participating now, and cryptocurrency being more part of our daily lives than we ever thought it would be, in terms of how we make transactions and how we pay each other and how companies are formatted, how we interact and govern our organizations and communities. So that's going to weave more and more into our lives. Tokenizing anything that's physical. We're going to see tokenization start again entering into various industries. And now the big talk is art, but there's real estate, there's cars, there's so many more things that can be tokenized. So we're going to see more, the wider spread of tokenization as well on physical assets across the board. So everything is going to be on the ledger, which is, I don't know, sometimes it's a good thing or not so good thing, depending on how you look at it, where we can, as a community, have visible and access to transactions that used to be private. That's going to become more and more public. So it's also going to force companies to be more transparent in what they do and how they do, and hopefully create a more ethical community and environment and workplace as we move forward, and more sustainable workplace. But it all depends on whose hands that technology falls into, right? And their intentions. So I think it's just, I think education is going to be a big part of this new journey we're all on. And that's my take on it.
That's good. We'll hope for the best in whose hands those things fall in. Hopefully ours. Israel, what are your thoughts about the future of the metaverse? I know you're running into spatial. What about haptics and things of that nature?
Oh man, I definitely have seen some great stuff with haptics over the last 5 years. And I think that haptics will have help people a lot with different disabilities and things like that. Also, I think people with disabilities, because there are so many jobs arising in the metaverse, that people with disabilities are now going to be able to have jobs in that way. Mark talked about a couple of years ago about, and I would say take with a grain of salt what you're being shown. It's kind of like the stealth bomber. It was created in 1920 and we saw it in 1982 or something like that. It's kind of like that. Horizon was working really quietly. They had everyone in the house sign NDAs while the person was working on the thing. And so Horizon was working for a while before they announced, and I'm sure with the announcement of Meta, there's other things. But one of the things they spoke about were these AR objects and people being able to own AR objects and trade AR objects. So I think that that's one of the next things is AR objects. And then also we were talking about fashion earlier. I don't know if fashion will ever go extinct, but at some point there may just be this one outfit that you wear, and maybe it's Gucci, maybe it's Louis Vuitton, maybe you've got a different suit than everybody else, but then that one outfit has, when someone puts on their glasses, there's an overlay of fashion. And I think that it would be good because of the amount of waste that fashion is doing, the textile industry, the waste, the pollution, and all these different things. And but on the sidebar that has nothing to do with any of this, I would love to see more upcycling of clothes and utilizing clothes. Like any designer that I see that's currently taking old clothes and creating new clothes, I want to support, because that's what needs to be done. We need to stop making more and more new stuff, because it's compiling. And our children, speaking of our children are going to have to live in a world where more disasters are going to happen than ever before. More hurricanes, more famines, more wars, unless certain things change.
Wow.
And hopefully the future brings that.
I also just want to add one more thing, Opé, is there's definitely going to be an opportunity for more diverse talent to participate in industries and make money in those industries than before. And because it's a decentralized environment, if you learn the skill and you learn the language, then you're able to participate. And I think that's extremely exciting, where the barriers that traditionally exist right now, Israel mentioned music, I experienced in fashion and art, and have family members in music. And there's, of course, the film space. I mean, it goes on and on as it relates to creative industries. The decentralized aspect of Web 3.0 is so exciting, because if you have that desire and those ideas and take the time to educate yourself, build those skill sets, then you have an opportunity that's in front of you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to check for Kamilah. I just want to, see where she is. Hey, there she is.
Oh, here we go. I'm back. If I can hold on. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, that was such a wonderful conversation. That was such a rich conversation. I think that's exactly, what we wanted to accomplish here. So thank you, everyone. I think we have a couple of minutes left. I did put everyone's information in the chat. So if you have any other information that you want to share with people, please put it in the chat. Also, you can send it to me afterwards. We'll send an email out to everyone that's there.
Yeah, no, this has been great. It's been great to listen to these souls expound on, their experiences, their thoughts. It's good to get some insight about, all of these different, aspects and nuances of, what is the metaverse. What we know of it now is and these are from early adapters. So, get them to, put this out here and hopefully help people to, build their knowledge. I know that we didn't get to all of the questions. I was trying to stick to things that were more related to, art and fashion. But I think if you really think about the answers that they gave, it does apply to, all of the different things that people can do. And I want to say this about the metaverse, and I always say this, the metaverse is going to give people the ability to expand their ideas. Where we had physical limitations, we no longer have those limitations. We're able to completely do things that that you thought were ridiculous, or you thought were. I know for me, as an artist, I'm very low key. I don't really, as bright as I dress, I don't talk. I don't do much talking outside of maybe Clubhouse, and that's because I don't have, nobody has to see me, or I can kind of be more of myself, because I'm more of a one-on-one person. And I have a house full, my house is full of art that I've never sold, because I don't know how to speak up, and I, get flustered and don't know how to market myself, like Israel was, alluding to. And the metaverse has allowed me to, just publish my work without having to, have a middleman, or, have to have a heart palpitations while I'm talking about myself, because that's just so disgusting to me, to have to do that. So it's for me to just, here, great, wonderful. I've talked to Nova so many times, Nova, I don't know what to do, and this gives you some sense of empowerment. Not only that, you can build a space. When I talked to Kamilah, she was trying to, build a space for the art reception later. And I was like, just, talk to Artsy. Artsy can create a space, and she can, make it whatever you want it to be. She created a space for an opera singer the other day that was underwater. You can't do that in real life. Well, maybe you can. I mean, but it would take a lot of effort and a lot of orchestration, a lot more than what we can factor. And she was able to do it, in a space of a week, which is minutes, to trying to build some structure underwater. And we were underwater, right. And the violins and the cellos and all of that were playing by themselves, and she sang, and she had a wonderful outfit. Who know? I'm looking forward to seeing what this space is going to be like. I onboard people into the metaverse world of Altspace VR. Because that's one place where a lot of people can get to, because you can get on it in your browser, you can get on it in your Oculus headset. You can also watch it on, we have Discord where you can watch it live, because with Oculus you can stream it live to some place. But I just am, I'm amazed at what you can do. I created a world where the islands were floating in the sky, kind of if you saw Avatar, I was starting to do that. And then I was like, okay, I can put my art here. You can do whatever you want to do. There's no limit to the things that you can create in these spaces. And so many people are building. Why not you? I think that this is a great point for entry for all of us. Whatever we imagine, we can do it, and it can change your life, just like it has changed Israel's life. Just like it's changed Nova's life. She's transitioning. She's always parlaying very well, by the way. And I'm transitioning into a space where I'm able to, have more of a voice. So I think that the metaverse is very profitable. I was able to meet these people because of, people that I didn't know before, because of, these conversations. And I hope to meet more people, and I hope to, to do more in this space. So I want to thank Kamilah and the people at Greater Than Equal for this opportunity for all of us to speak today. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, thank you. And Opé has rooms on Clubhouse, and the conversations are exactly like this. So please go follow her. I put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much again. Thank you, Nova. Thank you, Israel, and thank you, Teddy.
Thank you.
So sorry we weren't able to get to talk to Teddy.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
Thank you,
also in
everyone.
Clubhouse, so.